Mormon Scripture is a little bit different than just having the Bible, Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price. The initial intention was to get the Book of Mormon out to the United States. It contains an encoded warning for America for a future attack in America. The first page gives us the date of when this was to occur. First chapter, first page of the first book in the Book of Mormon. The concept within the Book of Mormon was that there was going to be a retranslation, a correction even, of the biblical text. Both Old and New Testaments were going to be retranslated. The understanding was that they were derived from Egyptian records. The Book of Mormon says it's the learning of the Jews, the language of the Egyptians, right there in the beginning. When the first characters in the story get the brass plates before exodusing, is that a word? From Jerusalem, they find that it was written in Egyptian. The brass plates contain both the record of the Jews and the record of Josephites, Joseph and Judah being of the house of Israel. Ezekiel 37 says that the book of Joseph and the book of Judah are going to be combined in one in the last days, when the descendant of David, the Messiah, the Christ, if you use Greek, comes back again. So the last days is understood by Mormons as when this is to occur. The Book of Mormon is not the record talked about in Ezekiel, because the character Lehi, of whom Nephi is from Manasseh, though he does marry into Ishmael's family, who are from Ephraim, such that Nephi's children are of Ephraim and Manasseh. It is well understood that the brass plates are the fulfillment, that it is not an actual history should be the big clue, that the encoding was meant for that. Evidence of Joseph learning biblical Hebrew and then saying that it's mistranslated, and the King Follett Discourse, and then receiving the Egyptian papyra that he named the Book of Abraham and the Book of Joseph. Blatant tie to his thinking that the Egyptian records that he obtained was going to be his method of correcting the translation of the biblical text. There's also section 45, where he has been reading over Matthew 24, but is talking to his membership, his Mormons. And Joseph discusses what is going to happen in our day, as he tells the method of weaponry used by this threat to America, coronavirus, sickness, as it's referred to. And then he's told, after he does this, that that's enough for now, finish the New Testament translation. Thus, start from the beginning and go through to the end, indicating that the story of Jesus is not the fulfillment that is not a history either, that is referring to the latter-day Christ as the original Christ is understood as the Jews understand it, as I talked about in the previous video. And so the original religion was to obtain any new Egyptian documents for the purpose of correcting the biblical text, both Old and New Testaments, which he understood as all referring to the latter-day Christ, Jewish Messiah, spoken of in Jeremiah chapter 23, and as understood by the Jews. That's why the Jews don't recognize the gospel Christ, is because he didn't save them during the Roman times, so he doesn't get a second chance. And then there's errors in Matthew over the sign of the Son of Man being interpreted by him as an event, not a sign. So that's what the scriptures are all about. The Doctrine and Covenants had the articles of, the lectures on faith. That was supposed to be the doctrine for the church. That was taken out by the other church. Yeah, there's a big difference. There's some passages in the Doctrine and Covenants that were taken out, like the monogamy chapter. Also, section 131 is missing most of it. What we currently have in the Brigham Church is just a small portion specifically put in or left in so that he can lead into what Brigham added as section 132. If you don't know polygamy, then that's what happened. Is Joseph was not polygamous. In his scriptures, 3 times in the Book of Mormon, anti-polygamy, and then the 2 passages with some other indicators, allusions to it, that also anti-polygamy, and then the history anti-polygamy. So the Pearl of Great Price is not considered the intentional scripture. The Book of Abraham was intended to be the retranslation of the Bible. The original retranslation, working with Sidney Rigdon, that was the deal that was made to have Sidney write the Book of Mormon, as he is the author linguistically of the Book of Mormon. And so as part of the deal for payment, because you have to pay somebody to do work for you, they didn't have any money because Martin Harris fell through. And so when they finished the book, they were able to get Martin Harris back. It wasn't. It was encoded well enough this time around with the change in the 116 pages, so that Martin Harris was comfortable with it and was made to feel guilty that he wasn't a part of it, and so he paid that time around. But Sidney Rigdon still needed to be paid without being known that he got paid directly. So they had him brought into the church in December, and Joseph immediately put him to work with him on the retranslation, because he left the Campbellites for that reason. Alexander Campbell wanted to only do a retranslation of the New Testament. Sidney wanted to do the full Old Testament, New Testament, because he saw the Old Testament as directly leading to the New Testament. So a lot of the original doctrinal ritual practices were from Sidney Rigdon and his Campbellite Baptist breakoff. Many other scriptures. I think that's about it. Apocrypha was supposed to be in the Bible as well. Joseph had a Doctrine and Covenants passage where he says there's no need to retranslate that. That's close enough to being good. And yet, Bergamite Church took it out. So, Apocrypha is supposed to be in the original scriptures as well. But that was the intention overall, is that the Egyptian records were going to clear up, fill in, and correct the Bible, the whole Bible, as the original Mormonism is a restoration of the Egyptian religion. The scriptures bear that out.